The rain was so heavy that night it felt like the world was trying to bury my screams. The hospital corridor smelled like bleach and heartbreak, and every clock on the wall seemed to mock how time kept moving, even when my life stopped. My husband, Noah, was gone before sunrise. A drunk driver, a shattered windshield, a call that tore my chest open. I remember my fingers shaking so hard I could barely unlock my phone. I didn't know who else to call. My parents were still my parents, cruel, cold, selfish, but blood. I needed to hear someone say, "We're coming." Please subscribe to our channel and tell us in comments from where are you watching this video. So I called, once, twice, 3 times, straight to voicemail. My voice cracked as I left a message. "Mom, Dad, it's me, Noah's. He's gone. I'm alone. Please, just pick up." Minutes later, my phone buzzed. A text, just one line. "We're busy at the casino. Don't ruin the night with your drama." I stared at it for so long, my brain refused to understand what I was reading. Casino, busy, drama. My husband's body was still warm in the next room, and they were gambling. My tears hit the phone screen until the message blurred into nothing. The nurses asked if I had anyone to call. I said no, and I meant it. That night, the word family died alongside Noah. For weeks, I lived on autopilot. Funerals, condolences, empty casseroles dropped at the door. My parents didn't show up, not even a fake sympathy text. They didn't ask if I was eating, if I was breathing. When I tried calling again, maybe out of instinct or stupid hope, my father finally answered, voice slurred with alcohol. "Move on, Ava. Crying won't bring him back. You were always dramatic like your mother said." Click. The silence that followed was louder than anything I'd ever heard. I sold everything. The apartment, the furniture, Noah's old truck. Every memory that tied me to a life that no longer existed. I moved into a small town 2 states away and started working as a night shift bookkeeper for a motel. It wasn't glamorous, but it was quiet, and for a while, I thought maybe that was enough. Years passed, and I built something from the ashes. I learned to code, got certifications, then opened my own small accounting firm. The same girl who once begged her parents for a ride to school now signed paychecks for 10 employees. I never posted about it, never flaunted it. I wanted peace, not applause. Until the call came. My father's voice, hoarse, trembling, almost unrecognizable. "Ava, sweetheart, we need help." I froze. He used to call me Burden, not sweetheart. He went on. Their casino luck had turned into debt. My sister, their perfect angel, had fled after maxing out their cards. They'd lost their house, their business, everything. "We have nowhere to go," he said. "You're the only one left." I didn't speak, just let the silence choke him. "You have that big house now, right?" Mom's voice chimed in, brittle and desperate. "We'll help around. You owe us after everything we did for you." Owe them? For what? For gambling through my childhood savings? For never showing up when my husband died? For teaching me that love was currency? I didn't hang up this time. I let them finish their story. Every pitiful detail, every tearful excuse, and said quietly, "Come by tomorrow." When the call ended, I stared at my reflection in the window. I looked nothing like the broken girl they abandoned. I looked like someone they would finally fear. The next day, I watched their old rusted sedan pull into my driveway like a ghost from a past life. The car coughed and hissed, just like my father used to when he yelled at me for wasting air. They stepped out wearing the same smug expressions I remembered, just cracked and worn by years of bad luck and whiskey. My mother's hair, once perfectly dyed and sprayed stiff, had gone gray at the roots. My father leaned heavily on his cane, not because he was weak, he was too proud for that, but because he'd finally been forced to bend to life's weight. I stood on the porch, arms crossed. They didn't recognize the house, of course. The grand, modern home with the glass walls and black iron gates wasn't theirs to imagine me in. It was the result of every night I'd worked until dawn while they played poker with my future. My father looked around, pretending not to be impressed. "You've done well," he muttered. "Guess all those years of us pushing you hard finally paid off." Pushing me hard, he called, throwing me out at 15, pushing me hard. My mother smiled like this was some reunion. "Oh, honey, it's so good to see you. We knew you'd come around. You always had such a forgiving heart." Forgiving. That word sat in my mouth like poison. I forced a smile and gestured to the door. "Come in." Inside, the smell of fresh coffee lingered. I'd left it brewing on purpose. I wanted them to feel like guests, just not welcome ones. They sat at my kitchen island, whispering and glancing around, their eyes darting from the marble counters to the framed photo of Noah on the wall. My father noticed it first. "That's him, huh? The one who died?" I said nothing. He smirked. "You really should have picked someone stronger. Life isn't for the soft ones." My mother laughed lightly, pretending to defuse the comment, but enjoying every second. "Oh, come on, Harold. Don't start. She's finally doing well." Finally. After they made sure I had nothing left to lose. I poured the coffee and slid it toward them. So, what happened? They didn't need much prompting. The story spilled out in frantic, overlapping pieces. The gambling debts, the foreclosed house, the betrayal from my sister who'd cleaned out their savings. They blamed everyone but themselves, as always. My mother sighed dramatically. "We've just been through hell, Ava. I told your father it was karma for how we treated you." My father snapped, "Oh, stop with that nonsense. She was never kicked out. She left, acting like she was some victim." "She was 15, Harold," my mother hissed. "Don't make it sound—" "Don't twist history," I said quietly. They both froze. I leaned forward, my voice steady. "You didn't push me to grow. You didn't motivate me. You threw me out with a trash bag and told me not to come back until I was useful. So don't stand here acting like proud parents. You lost that right the night you chose roulette over your child." My mother's face twitched. She hated when I spoke like her equal. "We're still your family, Ava. You can't erase that." I smiled thinly. "Oh, I don't want to erase it. I want to remember it. Every day." My father slammed his cup down. "We're not here for a history lesson. We're broke, all right? We need a place to stay just for a while. You've got more rooms than you'll ever use. What's the harm?" I stood and looked out the window, pretending to think. The silence dragged long enough for them to squirm. "All right," I said finally. "You can stay, upstairs. But there are rules." Their eyes lit up instantly, like beggars smelling bread. "Rule 1, you stay out of my office. Rule 2, you clean up after yourselves. Rule 3, no gambling, no drinking, no lying. You break one rule, you're out." They nodded eagerly, relieved. My mother even tried to hug me, but I stepped back. That night, I listened to them whisper from the hallway outside their room. My father's laugh was quieter now, but still sharp enough to cut. "See? She's still weak. Same little Ava. She'll never change." I smiled to myself in the dark. Oh, she'd see how wrong that was. Days passed. I watched them carefully. My mother couldn't stand not knowing everything I was doing. She snooped through drawers when she thought I was asleep. My father kept making phone calls in secret, whispering to old contacts. They didn't want shelter. They wanted opportunity. I decided to give it to them. One evening, I walked into the kitchen while they were bickering over money. "I've been thinking," I said, voice calm. "I need someone to help me manage a new account. It's a big client. They're hiring too. Maybe I can recommend you both for something small." Their greed was instant. My mother's smile stretched wide. "Oh, sweetheart, that's exactly what we need. You always were generous." My father nodded. "About time we get some credit for raising you right." "Raising me right." I nodded slowly. "Sure. I'll set it up tomorrow. You'll just need to sign a few papers." I spent that night setting up everything. The client account, the forms, the trap. They would never see it coming. By morning, they were dressed up and waiting at the kitchen table like obedient pets who didn't realize they were being led to slaughter. "Sign here," I said, placing the papers down. They didn't read a word, just scribbled their signatures greedily, desperate for whatever payday they imagined was coming. I saved the documents, turned off my laptop, and looked at them with the same cold detachment they once gave me. "You know," I said softly, "I used to think I'd never be able to hurt anyone. But watching you both throw me away made me realize survival can be cruel too." My mother frowned. "What are you talking about?" "You just signed over everything left in your name," I said. "Every asset, every account, every bit of control you thought you had, legally transferred to me." They blinked in confusion, then panic set in. "You're lying," my father snapped, standing up. I opened my phone and turned the screen toward them, showing their accounts closed, their remaining debts transferred. "You taught me to play games, Dad. I just learned to play better." My mother began to cry, reaching for my arm. "Ava, please, we're old. We have nowhere to go." I stepped back. "I know, that's the point." That night, I locked the door behind them. Their suitcases sat on the curb, their voices echoing through the street as rain started to fall. I watched from the window, just as they once watched me walk away at 15, soaked, broken, and alone. Only now it was me behind the glass. And this time I didn't flinch. The next morning, the air outside was cold, sharp, and eerily quiet. The kind of silence that follows a storm but still tastes like thunder. I stood by the window, holding my coffee, watching the two people who once gave me life now sitting on the curb, shivering beneath a dull gray sky. They hadn't left. My father's pride wouldn't let him, and my mother's tears were her weapon of choice. They thought if they waited long enough, I'd come running out with an apology, a blanket, maybe even breakfast, like I always used to when I was a child and they were fighting. But that girl didn't live here anymore. By noon, my doorbell rang. Once, then again. Then came the banging. My father's voice roared through the wooden door. "Open this damn door, Ava! You can't do this to your own parents!" My mother's voice followed, trembling but manipulative. "Sweetheart, you're angry, I get it, but you're not cruel. You're just like me, remember?" That line made me laugh quietly, a dry, hollow sound. "Exactly," I whispered to myself. "And that's why I'll never open that door." I walked away, letting their voices blur into background noise. My house, my sanctuary, stayed still. Every corner gleamed with the life I built without them. Every inch of this place whispered what they always denied me: peace, success, freedom. Hours later, the noise outside stopped. I looked again. They were gone. For a brief moment, I wondered if I'd ever see them again. But life doesn't hand out clean goodbyes. The 2 months later, I got a call from a local shelter. "Ms. Turner?" The woman's voice was soft, hesitant. "Your parents listed you as an emergency contact." I froze. "What happened?" "They were found sleeping near the old railway underpass, malnourished, weak. They refused medical care, but they kept asking for your address." I stared at the phone, torn between instinct and memory. The 15-year-old in me, the girl who slept behind a gas station with a ripped backpack and half a granola bar, she wanted to say, "Leave them there." But the woman I'd become needed closure, not cruelty. I drove to the shelter that afternoon. The building was small, painted a faded yellow, with cracked steps and a smell of damp blankets. When I walked inside, every muscle in my body tensed. They sat at a corner table, two ghosts wearing human faces. My father looked smaller than I remembered, bones visible beneath his once sturdy frame. My mother's hands trembled as she held a cup of soup, staring into it like it could rewrite her past. When she saw me, she tried to smile. "Ava," she whispered, "I knew you'd come." My father didn't even look up. "Here to gloat?" he muttered. "To see what's left?" I pulled out a chair and sat across from them, my expression unreadable. "No," I said quietly. "I came to see if you remember." "Remember what?" my mother asked, confused. "That night," I said. "When Noah died, when I called and you texted me from the casino." She blinked, her lip trembling. "Ava, we didn't mean it. Your father," he interrupted sharply. We were having fun, all right? What did you want us to do? Cry over the phone? We didn't know it'd mess you up this bad." Mess me up. Those words hit like acid. I looked at them both, my jaw tight. You didn't just mess me up. You buried me alive. You made sure I had nothing. No home, no comfort, no love. I had to build everything from zero. And you know what? I'm proud of that. Because I built it without you. My father leaned forward, his voice rough. "So this is it? You're going to let us rot here?" I stared into his eyes, the same eyes that once glared at me while I packed a trash bag at 15. "No," I said slowly. "You're going to walk out of here with something." He frowned, suspicious. "What's that supposed to mean?" I slid an envelope across the table. My mother's shaking fingers opened it. Inside was a printed check and a folded sheet of paper. She gasped. "A check? Ava, this is for us?" I nodded. "That's the refund from the care home you'll be going to, fully paid for a year. After that, you'll figure it out." My father's voice cracked. "A care home? You're sending us to—" "Somewhere safe," I interrupted. "Somewhere you can't hurt anyone, not even each other." They looked stunned, caught between disbelief and humiliation. I stood, taking one last look at them, the people who raised me but never loved me. "You wanted me to stay small," I said. "You wanted me to fail so you could feel powerful. But look at me now. I became everything you said I couldn't, and now you'll live every day watching what happens when the girl you threw away learns to stand tall." My mother started to cry. My father turned away, silent. I walked to the door, pausing once as the wind from outside brushed against my face. "You know," I said softly, "Noah used to tell me people don't change. They just reveal who they really are. You two finally showed me the truth." And with that, I left. Outside, the world was brighter than it had been in years. I drove back to my house, my quiet, safe house, and parked in the driveway. The reflection of the sunset hit my windows, warm and gold. Inside, I poured myself a glass of wine and sat by the same window I'd once watched them from. But this time, there was no rage left, no tears, just silence, the kind that didn't ache anymore. I didn't need revenge that screamed. I'd given them something worse, a life long enough to remember what they did to me, and a daughter who finally learned to stop forgiving. Please subscribe to our channel and tell us in comments from where are you watching this video.